Good morning, everyone. It's the 24th of April. It's Monday, and it's going to be a big week. There's no doubt about that. So you're looking at three ducks in a row, all heading into the Bay of Biscay. And what's the weather going to do in there? We're not sure yet, but it's changing. It's changing for the better. So you've probably seen my predictions about potential ETAs with an accuracy of about 75.317%. And it's going to be interesting. So, bottom line is, it looks like Simon will probably be arriving on Thursday morning, something like that. And Kirsten will probably be arriving Thursday afternoon. I was tempted to put it a bit further forward, but I don't like bringing things forward too soon. The weather's definitely changed towards the last day or so. That's what's created the sudden jump. And that puts Ablish in sometime on Saturday morning. But let's wait and see. I mean, it's not nothing set in stone. The fact that he hasn't sung and all that sort of stuff. So lots going on. Secondly, thanks that we've got hundreds and hundreds of people already booking the Voyage of Madman on Vimeo, which is cool. So thanks for that. It's going to be interesting to see the reactions and get feedback when people see it. The other big thing I just wanted to say going into this week, which is really important, is thanks for all of the comments and support and all that sort of stuff for the whole team. Now, the team consists of a few people. You know, there's Seb and myself and Jane and Georgie and Marco and Rob over in the UK and Annetta doing all our Instagram and Ada helping us on all sorts of stuff, you know, commentaries, bits and pieces. Did I remember Jane? Yeah. And so on. So what we're going to do is probably later today, we'll do a simple live, and I'm going to interview all the team, you know, just for a couple of minutes, so you can actually get their backstory, whether they're married, single, what they used to do, bits and pieces. So you just keep an eye out for that if you're interested. The other thing is today, hopefully at 11 o'clock, it's not been confirmed yet, we'll get Ian up and we'll do a live with Ian here on the live program. So watch out for that. If it doesn't happen, it's because Ian's not quite ready or whatever it is. We'll just see how that evolves. And the other thing I wanted to do, there was a bit of a reaction, interestingly, over the weekend to the book list and also to the videos. A few people didn't know about some of the other things that we've done in the past. So I'm just going to walk you through the McIntyre Adventure website and onto the YouTube section, because McIntyre Adventure, that's Jane and I. We don't really sell anything, but excuse me, we're the underwriters of the event. And if you want to just find out a bit about who we are, this is our McIntyre Adventure website. Okay, that's scrolling through that first page. But when you get onto it, that's our mini globe race. You'll see all sorts of things about different adventures and all sorts of crazy stuff. But at the very top, you can actually get onto up here. You can get onto the McIntyre Adventure YouTube channel. So when you click onto that, the McIntyre Adventure YouTube comes up. It's similar to GGR, but it's separate. And you can scroll down and see all sorts of crazy clips about some of the things that we've done. But the easiest way to, if you just go right to the very bottom, okay, you'll see 4 key adventure documentaries that you may absolutely be, what was that? Kind of interesting. This was Teddy Bears to Antarctica. Was my first trip to sailing down to Antarctica in my BOC boat with 200 teddy bears. It's interesting documentary. Then this is my BOC documentary, McIntyre Knockdown. Back in 1990, it was my solo race around the world with stops. I had 4 legs. Then we went down, Margie and I went and lived in Antarctica for a year, built a box, chained it to rocks in the windiest place in Antarctica, which was recognized for a while as the windiest place in the world. It was quite something. And this is me in my little gyrocopter flying in amongst the full moon. But I flew a gyrocopter, ultralight gyrocopter around the world, which was around Australia, which was a world first flight. So you can get onto all of those videos there if you're up to it. So anyway, now we'll head back to the tracker. I'll do a quick run through on questions every time now as well for the comments. Okay, so we'll get straight into the tracker now. I get up here, so we'll talk about the leaders in a minute, and I'll show you the weather that's changed just in the last day or two as they approach Les Sables d'Olonne. There's Goog doing a bit of a zigzag, as predicted. Just looking at his comments, it's really funny reading the tweets. What the guys are saying is quite, and girls, well, Kirsten sort of gives a text, but it's like a comedy competition to see who can come up with the funniest comments. Anyway, so right now, Guy's doing 7 knots. That's pretty quick. Not Guy, Jeremy is doing 7 knots. That's pretty quick for him. So he's obviously enjoying the ride. He's had to pay off to do that, though. And he's done 80 nautical miles in the last 24 hours. When I say pay off, you can see there the wind is coming down from the northeast a little bit, and he's now heading out to the northwest, going for speed. And he's just getting used to this motion, no doubt, because he's now in the headwinds and head seas and stuff. So he's not quite hooking around on course. You wouldn't do 7 knots to windward, but there's probably 15, 20 knots or more in there. And I think it's just takes a while to settle in. So even if this wind direction held that course, he would slowly in the next day or so realize he's got to get up to the Azores. And the only way to do that is start coming closer into the wind. So I think he's just settling in. It's a big shock to the system when that happens. Anyway, it's still light. Okay, so in 24 hours, it's still going to be reasonably light. That'll help him come up a bit as well. And then he's just got more trade wind sailing. So it's shifting around a bit here. You look at the wind direction there, and then you look at it down here. It's starting to sort of come a bit more around to the east. So a bit of a mixed bag, but nothing heavy. In fact, you can distinctly see that it's calming down a bit there, and it'll probably show in the waves as well, although it's all blue. Oh boy, look at that. We spoke about this the other day. There's a convergence there of doldrums seas versus trade winds, and you can see this. I'll build it up one more time. You can see it gets that'll get you giddy in there or make you seasick. And so he's going to have some confused seas. He's right on one here at the moment. So he may even mention that. This looks like a good one. But anyway, that's pretty much Jeremy's lot. Not a lot to report because he's in the trades. And now he's just got to slog his way north. So Goog is got plenty to talk about because he's out of the trades. And that's a good thing for him when we find him over here. Come back on that one. So interesting course for sure. He's tacking downwind to try and keep speed. It might not, or jibing downwind, possibly with reasonably light stuff. Maybe it wasn't as strong as we thought. So doing 5.5, that's not too bad. 94 nautical miles in the last 24 hours. Can't complain about that. He's certainly happy, enjoying the sail. And if we roll it through for 24 hours, by then he's going to go slow. Okay, so he's got to get over this calm patch. So he's going to slow down. If he did 90 miles in the last 24 hours, he's probably only going to do about 70 in the next 24 hours, I'd say, by the look of that. So then if we go through to the 26, I went a bit far there. Okay, yeah, he'll be back into it again. So a couple of slow days. It'll average out about 100 miles a day. So in the next 2 days, he'll do a couple of 100 miles, and he'll be up in this weather pattern as well, which will be perfect to get him up through to the Azores. So he'll make the most of that. So that's pretty good. Then, I've probably gone too far here. Come across, yes, absolutely too far. So bring the weather back to now, and we'll have a close look at what's going on here. I don't know whether anyone noticed. Well, right now, Kirsten's doing 7.4. She was doing 7.9 the previous couple of hours. And then a couple of hours before that, she was doing 8.1. So she's on her bike for sure, going for it. And keeping just ahead of Abelish still. Abelish picked up on Sunday. He didn't have as light a wind as Kirsten there for a while, so managed to gain about 20 miles. And we predicted that the day before, so everything is currently happening as per the forecast projections so far from yesterday. Simon's doing 6.2 knots, did 116 in the last 24 hours. Kirsten did 119 in the last 24 hours, doing 7.4 now, even with the light stuff. And Simon had a bit light for a while as well. Abelish, 126 in the last 24 hours. So he definitely gained on the fleet there. Their weather now, let's just see what happens. This is where everything's going to be hanging on the weather, quite literally, as we go forward. The good thing to watch is the green band. Okay, now the green band is moving forward, but see, it's not very much higher than Kirsten. So if she keeps going up to go middle range, this may become an issue, but let's just wait and see. I think her course will come around like this. Simon's definitely just beelining now for Les Sables d'Olonne, so it can be considered he'll hold the breeze, and Abelish is down south a bit, so he will hold the breeze as well. But let's just wait and see how Kirsten's course evolves. It's coming down to meet them there. So this is now still around midnight tonight. So they wouldn't have got up to that area, and then it gets over. So it's going. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So there's 24 hours ahead. Now in 24 hours, Kirsten's position will be, she'll do 150 miles easy, I reckon. So she'll be, so let's say 140. She'll be up here holding a fair bit of breeze. Simon will be ahead of that, holding possibly a same thing, bit of breeze. And Abelish will be holding position to Kirsten. So he'll be sitting around here as well, holding the breeze. Kirsten may get a little bit more as that goes over, so it could extend her lead against Abelish. A bit hard to say. So anyway, that's 24 hours out. Now we can go through to the next 24 hours. You can see the wind band moving ahead. It's going quiet from behind, so I'm going to take it 12 hours here. So there's 12 hours, near enough. And so in 12 hours, 150 plus another 70. So that's 220. So let's just assume that Kirsten is about 220 ahead at midnight tomorrow. Okay, 220-ish, say 230, could be as far as 230. She's in the breeze there. Okay, so 230. Abelish will be about the same. So we put him 230. He'll be back here somewhere. Now you can see there may be less wind. So unless Abelish can really tweak his secret sail, he might start to also lag a little bit behind Kirsten, because there's definitely more wind up the front and the back. We won't know until we get there, but that's about 36 hours from now. Simon will be up ahead of that, somewhere in this breeze, making a good breeze and probably extending his lead again. This is where the Biscay weather now, because they're just coming into it. This is now 36 hours from now. They've officially entered the Bay of Biscay, and they'll come under the influence of very potentially rapidly changing forecasts in here. So it gets a little bit hard to predict, but it's still kind of interesting. So if we bring it forward now, you can see the wind is going light from behind. So Abelish is probably going to stop or slow right down before Kirsten, maybe by a few hours. And then if we go through to 48 hours from now, 48 hours, that second one would be slow. So maybe 260 miles, 270 miles ahead. I'm just using Kirsten as a benchmark to get relative positions of the fleet. So I'd say that Kirsten's going to be about, somewhere in here. But you can see all of them, even Simon. Hang on, it's going to be down a bit. Simon's going to be in here somewhere, may have actually have a breeze. But the others maybe get a breeze as well. It's a bit hard to say, but certainly slow. So this is now on the 26th. So it's 2 days ahead. Okay, so they're there. Now, if they're in that position, if they're roughly here on the 26th, then they're only going to be about just over 200 miles from Les Sables d'Olonne, or Kirsten is. Simon will be even closer. And this is where it gets really tricky now. So just remember this spot right here. If we see Faz there, up above Faz, in between Faz and Gijón, there, just on this latitude line here, that's about where Kirsten will be, just 2 days out on the 26th. So 200 miles, you could do that in a big day. But it's probably not going to happen. And I'll just toggle this through really slowly now. But there is a breeze coming up from the south. Wind from the south is going to be perfect sailing. So they could be doing 3s, 4s, making time there. 3s, 4s. Then it's really fluky. The closer there, it's still very light. It's only 5 to 10, but with spinnakers up and so on, there's the potential to keep up and do an 80-mile day or a 100-mile day. So and then there's a bit more color there, and it starts to fill in, and it's light in the middle here, but there's breeze either side of it. This is where it gets really tricky to start predicting. But it's looking as if they'll keep moving, all right? And to the extent that they could easily do a 100-mile day there, right? Or they could do more, or they could do less. And so this is now 3 days ahead. So it was the 26th. Let's go backtrack a bit there. That's 3 days ahead. So that's the 27th. They were just over 200 miles. They could actually, Kirsten could actually have done 100 miles there, which means that she's only 100 miles from Les Sables d'Olonne on the morning of the 27th, right? 100 miles is not a long way. And this is where it gets really tricky. So what's going to happen next with the weather? So imagine now 100 miles is not very far. I'm going to put that in here. So 100 miles on the run line is around about there. So she could be sitting there, and Aberlish will be a similar distance behind. And if you say Simon's going to be a similar distance ahead, he could get in very early, right? So that's about where, just imagine a box here, boom, boom, boom. Okay, so that's where she could be on the 27th in the morning. All right, now let's look at what happens here. I'm tempted to just increase this and just see if we can hold the same. Okay, so remembering now, they were going to be about here. I'll just reposition this. This is the tricky bit. 100 miles. Yep, okay, so she's going to be about here somewhere, right? A line there and there. We should be able to put markers on this tracker for explanations. And then what sort of breeze are they going to get? Well, that's a light southeasterly, 2, 3, but it's dropping right off 4, 5 hours. So during that 5 hours, they could be doing 4 knots, right? So 5 4s are 20, so getting within 80. But then it starts to fill in and it comes back again, right? Now, there's a possibility that Kirsten could come in the very early hours of the 28th. She could be there as early as 2 o'clock on the 28th. I don't want to predict that yet, but it's possible. But it's not my official ETA. I'm saying in the afternoon, and that's any time after 12 o'clock, because I'm fully expecting, if you come back on this and see what's going on with the weather all the way, it's being driven by this system over here, right? It's a spin-off from that system. There's nothing else there. So it could be reliable, but I just don't want to trust it yet. But if you're thinking of coming to Les Sables d'Olonne, be ready. This could all jump by the end of tonight or tomorrow morning. We'll have a really accurate idea. If this stays the same and is a consistent airflow, then Kirsten could actually arrive morning of the 28th, very early on the morning of the 28th, which is Friday. So and Simon, who knows? He's going to be in sometime on Thursday. Could be very early on Thursday. So hard to call, but anyway, that's it. And we'll see what goes on. We'll keep our ETA updates going whenever I think there's a change of weather, because weather is the whole thing that's driving it right now. And then we'll see what happens when they get here. Sounds like fun. Have a good Monday. See you later.